Hello, it is Nick. Welcome to my channel. So, the first and only vice presidential debate of 2020 in the United States of America just ended a few seconds ago. And as I was listening, as I was cleaning, I usually do that at the same time as I'm watching TV or certain events. I took a few notes on each segment of noteworthy things and some thoughts I had on what took place. So, make sure to keep watching and let me know as you're watching this video in the comments your thoughts on what I talked about. Maybe you agree or disagree, and we will get into it right now. So let's go. All right, so first segment was obviously about the coronavirus and responses to it. Of course, President Trump and Mike Pence, Vice President, are the ones that were spearheading the response for the nation, and they have a record on this. So it was interesting to see Mike Pence defend that and Kamala Harris hit back at it. And one thing I will say was the most striking about this segment was actually Kamala Harris's pretty strong stance against Trump. And by strong stance against him, I mean she said that if Trump was going to take a vaccine for the coronavirus, she would not take it. But she said she would lean on the experts and the public health officials and whatnot who would approve it. So to me, this seemed as if Trump and the experts agreed on a vaccine, meaning they both are supportive of it. She wouldn't take it because of Trump. Now to me, and Mike Pence actually hit back on her on this, is that is undermining science, and the whole narrative around Trump's response to the coronavirus from left-leaning people like Kamala, who, by the way, was named the most left-leaning member of the Senate, even more left-leaning, apparently, voting-wise, than Bernie Sanders, which is shocking. And by the way, full disclosure, she happens to be one of my senators in California, so just want to get that out there. But to me, she is undermining the scientists by saying if the scientists agree with Trump, she would just not take whatever vaccine, whatever therapies. So I thought that was actually a really big misstep on Kamala's end, and Mike Pence picked up on it right away and capitalized on that, I think. And so right off the bat, she was pretty strong against Trump, and I think that was kind of their whole, seems to be their whole platform across the party from all levels of government. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. And I'm purposely not watching the post-debate coverage right this second. I only caught a glimpse of a few seconds, so that way I give my full thoughts. And I wasn't on social media this entire time. I only posted about something I'll talk about later, but I didn't really read anything. So these are my unfiltered thoughts from my brain. Then we came, and right off the bat, I actually made a few notes here about the difference in tone and difference in approach and difference in demeanor between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris. And what I wrote down was Mike Pence, it comes off is solid and comes off as calm and humble while confident, and Kamala Harris comes off as frantic and arrogant while indecisive. And you can take whatever you want with that, but to me that is the main difference between the two and why I lean more towards Mike Pence, because I like in a leader someone who is focused, calm, with the facts, unemotional, and just seems like he has it together, and I just trust him, and I know he's just, I don't know, just something about him. I guess you just gravitate towards one or the other at this point, and there's not much explanation, but that to me is he is the one that I would look more towards for a leadership role. However, the other thing I noted was the difference between the two also is that Kamala comes off as a politician, and Pence comes off as a more common man, or more, I don't want to say normal, because it's not like she's not normal, but anyways, what I want to say is Kamala was referencing terms only really, a lot of times are only used by politicians and people who follow politics more closely, and that maybe are in tune to the system a little more, while Pence seems to speak in layman's terms the way President Trump does, but in a more palatable way to more people and the more general group of people in America. And that's why I think Donald Trump won it in 2016, and he'll win again, is because the left and the people they're putting up against Trump are not populist type people or non-politicians or non-establishment people. They talk like politicians and they act like politicians. And I think that was pretty clear in tonight's debate. Then we went into the next segment, and of course it was brought up about President Trump's tax record that was recently uncovered by the New York Times, and allegedly. I don't know if they actually had the real tax document, but anyways. And Kamala, of course, brought up the fact that that article stated that President Trump only paid $750 in federal income tax. The problem is Kamala Harris is the lawmaker, or a lawmaker who can actually help change those laws that President Trump took advantage of to grow his business, to pay his employees, to create jobs, to mortgage properties, whatnot. So to me, that is a net loss on Kamala and Joe's end, as they were both legislators that had the power to change that, and it's just not a win on their end. As far as taxes and economics and whatnot, the next segment was more about environmental policies and just their whole policy in general, what the economic impacts of that. And the moderator, who I thought did a great job, mentioned that economists are concerned over Joe and Kamala's platform, and they say it would be economically irresponsible, economically not good for the American people, and would actually do the opposite of what they intend by doing what their platform says. And I think what that screamed to me was Kamala and Joe ignore economists. That's just simple how it is. And I know the big hit back that Kamala would use towards Pence and Trump is that they only look at the stock market, which only benefits the rich, for the metrics on if the economy is doing well or not. And what I say to that, and what I tell people in my everyday life is, or remind them of, is that the stock market, yes, is a lot of big corporations that employ a lot of people and rely on the growth in the stock market to grow their businesses, which means more jobs for the average people, which means more money in their pockets so they can spend. And you get the point of how it kind of circulates. So to me, when the stock market does well, that is a good sign for spending as far as people doing well in the world, especially over spending over discretionary things that far outnumber the amount of the wealthy people that they want to talk about as far as purchases go. And I will note one thing, that coming from personal experience, that I am in the transportation sector, so I do transportation analysis to make it a short description of what I do. And the trends of traffic demand mirror the stock market, meaning when people are out and about, it means they're doing well. So right before the coronavirus pandemic happened and everything was shut down, the traffic levels were at the highest ever, and so was the stock market. And it did come down briefly, and it is recovering pretty quickly, and we're almost back to where it was before. So the stock market is a good metric. It shouldn't be the only metric, of course, and I don't think any economist would say that, and I'm not an expert in that, but I don't think even President Trump would say that was the only metric, but is a quick, easy thing that is updated by the day on how well things are doing. So not really a winning argument, and personally, and I know a lot of people that maybe they actually put their stimulus money, I don't know if I'd recommend this, but their stimulus money in the stock market and maybe are even better off now, and they maybe have never played the stock market before. I don't know. So there's that. So then I noted, and this is something I actually talked about in a previous video, I don't remember which one to be exact, about kind of certain people's tics as far as what it indicates when they do it. And Kamala Harris's tic is that she stutters and kind of tenses up and does this thing when she's lying, or when she's not confident in what she's about to say, or she knows she has to think a little more or be more careful about what she says. And in this case, her biggest stutter during the debate came when they were talking about foreign policy. And she cited Pew Research saying that Communist China's leader was more highly regarded or trusted than President Trump in the world. And my question to you or to whoever is, why do you think that is? Because to me, it means that President Trump is actually standing up to China, and that is the country that is pretty much the biggest owner, I would say, of America as far as the share of goods and services that they provide to America or that America buys from them. So that's obviously why. I know they wanted to make it look bad, but if Pew Research is praising a communist leader, does that make Pew Research that good, or does that make them look good? Not saying they should fudge the numbers, or fudge their reporting, but I don't know. That one was a little bit of a miss to me. Anyways. And then the next segment, continuing on the foreign policy track, was the moderator brought up ISIS. I think the moderator did. Or unless, did Pence bring that up? Anyways. Talked about ISIS killing Americans. Now today, 2 ISIS men that are now convicted or indicted murderers for killing Americans in Iran and in another country. I can't remember the country right now. Iraq, I think. No, Iraq and whatever the countries are. It's slipping my mind right now. But anyways, while she was addressing, so Pence did an incredible job being humble, empathetic, sympathetic, emotional, and remorseful about what happened, and while praising Trump for his action about defeating ISIS. And Kamala, when she was addressing the family who was in the audience of one of the slain Americans by these men, it was shocking, I'm not going to lie. Watching her, I know she was trying to be emotional, but her acting was really bad. Okay, or maybe she should have been acting. Maybe she shouldn't have been as honest. Because she appeared to be smiling or smirking and almost on the verge of like trying to suppress some amount of joy in this. I don't know what she was thinking. Maybe I read this wrong, but please go back after you watch this and see that part and let me know if I'm crazy for seeing what I saw. Maybe that's just the way she displays remorse or something, or sorrow. I don't know, but it was weird. And so that was like a really bad part for her. And then they kind of took a left, or not really a left turn, but it was actually more, it was about life and murder, death and life, but more along the lines of abortion, and as far as the right to life versus your body regarding abortion. And the one thing I wanted to say about this is I want to ask you or anybody, and if Kamala Harris was sitting right next to me, I would ask her the same thing. And that is the question, who or which lives do you feel are most valuable? And I would ask this of anybody who talks about abortion or supports abortion. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Maybe heads of the comments and let me know. We can have a discussion in the comment section. But I just want to leave it at that because I know it's a touchy subject and I don't want to get too involved in it. Because to me, it's kind of a pretty close to a black and white issue as you can get. So anyways, I'll move on. So then Kamala was put on the spot by Mike Pence about packing the Supreme Court. And this came as a result of the moderator asking the candidates about their views on the current nominee for the Supreme Court by President Trump, who was Amy Coney Barrett. And not to my surprise, but maybe to some other people's surprise, I don't know who, Kamala, sorry, I had to burp or a little bit indigestion. She skated around that question like no other. I mean, she might be the best of it because maybe her prosecutor or lawyer passed, I don't know. But her non-verbal communication and her movements showed that she was doing everything she can to not answer that question. I think Mike Pence picked up on that and ended the segment by saying, I think American people know what she was saying, and that was a yes. And Joe Biden is even refusing to answer that. So I think that's a pretty clear sign that they want to pack the courts, meaning if they win, we can kiss the conservative majority, or even whatever you want to call it, goodbye, and would be strengthening the legislative power of the courts, which is not what it's supposed to be, and it would pretty much, like Mike Pence said, eliminate the separation of powers as we know it today. So there's that. But I think it was important also, and I noted here that Mike Pence was really smart and knew about Kamala's past as both a senator and current position as a senator, her voting record, and her record as prosecutor, both as the prosecutor of San Francisco and as the prosecutor of California, which is the state I'm in, like I said. And like you said, it speaks for itself, and it doesn't look very good for her. Whether you're a conservative or a more liberal person, it doesn't really look good in neither of those, as far as where the two sides are currently in the current political landscape. So I'll leave it at that. But now I would be doing a disservice if I did not mention this next part, which I think it's almost the end of what I want to talk about. But this is kind of my last note as far as the debate goes. And during the white supremacy argument part of things, a fly landed on Mike Pence's white hair. Now, I don't know. Luckily, the fly went away after a few minutes and it didn't completely distract the rest of the debate. And I'm actually shocked that Kamala didn't say anything or something. That could have been her key to being Mamala. See, like, pause for a second. She could have said, pause for a second. Can you just do that? There's a fly in your way or whatever, and then continue on. But they were both professional about it, and I guess you just have to go with the flow. Anyways, the irony of them talking about white supremacy and his white hair with the fly on it, I think is just maybe a coincidence, but it was kind of, to me, like kind of a God wink, like kind of just one of those ironies that I like to notice those things. So anyways, so I will wrap up right now by just giving a brief note about a thing I just saw before I started recording this after the debate, and that is in reference to the first debate's moderator, Chris Wallace, who, I'm going to be honest, maybe I'm reading this wrong, maybe he didn't know he was on camera, I don't know, but he looked pretty disappointed in himself, or pretty defeated after watching this debate, because clearly he got panned across the board from everyone, basically, about his lack of control over the first presidential debate. And although I don't think the moderator of this one, I think her name was Susan Page, right, of USA Today. I don't know why I keep thinking I'm messing that up. She did a good job, and she was very clear and very, for the most part, I think she was fair. But and she wasn't perfect. I mean, clearly a lot of the questions were slanted to support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but I think overall it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. But it was just interesting the way things went. And Chris Wallace's, I almost lost my train of thought, sorry. Chris Wallace's, I think, is pretty defeated and was kind of like, I see how it's actually supposed to be done. And I'm looking forward to seeing if anyone on Fox News actually says something regarding the moderation. I did see earlier today or yesterday maybe, I saw one person on Fox News hit back at the last debate saying it wasn't moderated that well. I think it was a clip of Raymond Arroyo, who was on the Ingram angle, who was talking to voters after the last debate, undecided and on both sides, and he kind of jabbed at the moderation of the debate. So I thought that was interesting. So I'm going to wrap up here. Let me know what you thought. One, did you watch the debate, and did you have any similar thoughts to me, or are you on the completely opposite side of me as far as this goes? And let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to chat it up with you. I think the final question of the debate, as far as the 8th grader in Utah who submitted a question about the division or the combativeness of what she sees on TV, I think this video, I want to make it a place where we can have differences like Mike Pence said, but we can still come together and be civil and be open and honest. So head to the comment sections while you're down there. If you liked what you saw here, and you thought I was at least fair, honest, open, and willing to hear your side, please give this video a thumbs up because it'll give more people a chance to join the conversation. And if you want to share this anywhere and you think I did a good job kind of analyzing the debate from my view, I would love if you shared it, whether it's via text message, via email, on your social media platform, to have more people involved in this conversation. And if you liked what you saw and you want to see more of my commentary about things in general, a lot of political, sometimes social, a lot of social, internet-wise or culturally, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you have not already, and turn on post notifications by ringing the bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So with that said, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you have a great rest of your night, day, whenever time you're watching this, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.